Leading up to the Wano arc, many people expected it to be Zoro's arc, where we learn a great deal about who he is. As for a swordman like Zoro, Land of Samurai, it's a perfect fit. We may not have completely gotten all we expected. Zoro consistently had a stellar showing throughout all of Wano. The highlight of this was the fight between Zoro and King, an epic showing of two top-tier vice captains battling at their peaks, while also showing some insight to the pirate hunter's most sacred memories and treasured friends. In this video, I'll be analyzing the fight between these two monster Yonko commanders and how this battle solidified what it means to be a first mate. This is definitely new to me, so any critiques will be welcomed with open arms, but if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like button, and if you're feeling especially kind, the sub button as well. As a side note, I didn't write a word-to-word script this time around. This will be notes, for a more open and free-flowing discussion about this incredible fight. And with that, let's get to it. Okay, Zoro versus King. So this fight goes from chapter 1022 to chapter 1036, 1037-ish if you count the little post-fight part, and it's a very on and off fight. Like sometimes you get to Sanji's fight, sometimes you get to Big Mom's fight, sometimes you get to Kaido's fight. You know, it's very on and off. It's definitely not the entire 14 chapters. It's definitely not the entire thing. So, this is easily Zoro's most important fight post-timeskip, and possibly the most important in the series, besides debatably versus Mihawk. So throughout this fight, Zoro learns what really takes to hone a sword like Enma. He has a realization of his history and blades, and to keep his promise to his best friend and captain, becomes the demon that he is forced to be. So, how does this fight start? We see Marco's fighting King and Queen, but he's starting to reach his limit. King and Queen are terrorizing everyone in sight, and to be fair, I don't think Marco can fight two top-tier Yonko commanders at the same time. Now Sanji's forced to fight them at the same time, and it's very clear that he will not be able to survive this, right? What do we need? We need Zoro and Sanji to fight at the same time. So, Zoro, who's in this permanently injured state, receives a Mink's instant recovery medicine in order to help Sanji fight. And then, boom, Zoro's there. And the introduction is freaking amazing. As the two are about to attack, Marco makes this epic introduction saying, "It's time for the stars to take the stage," which is also what the chapter title is, I'm pretty sure, where Zoro and Sanji use their pretty classic attacks on King and Queen respectively, but they get knocked over in a super badass scene, but they proclaim the attack doesn't feel like anything. Later on, King attempts to attack Sanji, but Zoro intercepts it. Queen then attempts to attack Zoro, Sanji returns a favor, and then, from there, they all separate and do their own fight. Zoro vs King, Sanji vs Queen. Alright, so let's get to the real fight between Zoro and King. King yanks two of Zoro's swords away, and then proceeds to punch his third mouse sword. Later on, Zoro refers to King as a killing machine. And as they're bantering along, Zoro makes the proclamation. It's such a badass line, sorry. I'm fucking reading this, it's such a badass line. "Who knows, by the end of this, I may be tearing your throat out with my teeth. Anything to ensure I win this fight." Banger, 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 banger line, okay? Love that shit. Love that shit. During this, Kawamatsu proclaims that when Hiyori gave Enma to Zoro, he couldn't bring himself to stop her. Later mentioning how Zoro is a spitting image of Shimotsuki Ushimaru, the daimyo of Ringo, in his youth, even having the same sword style. Ushimaru being the descendant of Ryuma. This kind of speculates the idea of fate in relation to Zoro and Ryuma, who was also a one-eyed samurai just like Zoro. Alright, so back to the fight. Later on, we find King frantically spewing out a barrage of attacks to both friend or foe, causing Zoro to fly backwards, only to be caught by Frankie. Zoro then proclaiming that, yeah, King is strong, but of course he is. We learn why King is just like frantically doing all these attacks is because Zoro damaged his mask. No one knows what King looks like, so it's really interesting how King has to hide what he looks like. We don't know why. So then King then flies towards Zoro with his Imperial Archer. Zoro tries to fight back with Ultra Tiger Hunt, but is blown backwards through a wall by King's wing. This is a really interesting part, because Zoro claims to be very disrespected from this. Zoro does not want to fight King's wing, he wants to fight King's sword. So he feels very disrespected, and it just goes to show the type of character Zoro is. You know, the classic samurai, the classic, you know, this is a sword duel, don't fucking fight me like this, you know. And King replies, "I'd ask the same of you," in response to the disrespectful thing, and it's kind of like, doesn't really make sense, because I'm pretty sure Zoro fought with his swords the entire time, so, you know, whatever, I guess. Alright, while continuing their fight, Zoro receives a call from Sanji via transponder still. Sanji snuck in Zoro's stomach band in case of emergencies. So this is an absolutely beautiful scene. Maybe my favorite scene of like Sanji and Zoro. Like, it's such a beautiful scene of rival. It's really, really good. So Sanji requests that if he cannot control himself after fully utilizing his Vinspoke body, he wants Zoro to be the one to kill him. This is so good. Because Sanji entrusts Zoro to be the one to kill him if Sanji loses his mind. He shows a trust to his rival that he's always fighting with, but you realize he really respects Zoro's strength as a rival to himself. And then after receiving this request, Zoro then tells Sanji to not die before then. It's just, it's perfect. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I love this scene. I love this fight. Sorry, I'm just gonna... This is how the note video is gonna be like, because like I'm just gonna gush over all this insanely cool stuff. Alright, next we have, we see Zoro struggling to fight against King's Imperial Deep Pride Stake attack. This attack is fucking broken, and I think if King just kept using this throughout the fight, he would have probably won. But he literally just like stretches his head back, and then like pulls it back, and it stretches his head all the way to Zoro, even if King is all the way in the air. So King's beak just like a laser beam, Zoro says, it just hits him with tremendous speed and range. It's super broken, and King claims this is how the Pteranodons, is that what King's thing is called? The Pteranodons of the ancient past hunted their prey. That's how they did it. I don't know if that's true. It might be. Maybe I should research it. Maybe I'll put in the video. Who knows? But it's interesting enough. So, Zoro is kind of in a pickle because he's trying to figure out how to land a hit on King. He's so high up in the air, and two of his attacks do absolutely nothing. King is just really crazy. But King does a rather honorable, but I would also say foolish strategy of fighting Zoro close range in a sword fight. As this happens, Zoro attempts to figure out what is going on with the flames on King's back and ponders that he must be from a race Zoro's never heard of, and he must figure out what that race is to defeat King. As he's thinking though, Zoro's Enma begins rapidly draining Haki from him. King takes this opportunity and dashes right in front of Zoro. Zoro, confused as to why King isn't attacking him, takes a chance to attack King directly, but as he does, King utters the words jackpot before exploding, which, what the fuck? King is so broken, but cool. Zoro manages to survive this with his arm in Haki, and as he thinks about how King survived the explosion, Zoro lands a Deathline song directly on King. The attack once again doesn't phase King at all, and while King begins to perform another Imperial Deep Pride Stake, super broken move, Enma once again begins draining Zoro's Haki again. Zoro takes the attack from King, sending him flying further off Onigashima. King then proclaims how interesting it is that Swordman is being held back by his own sword. So as Zoro is falling, he makes sure to grab his Sandai Kitetsu, where he begins to have flashbacks of the time learning of its origins, as well as the time he received the blade in the first place, you know, the cursed blade, the whole scene where he throws it in the air and dodges it, and then he talks to the blacksmith guy and got all that stuff. So King scoffs, questioning why Zoro would die just to save the sword, whereas Zoro then thanks the fact that his Wado Ichimonji didn't fall as well, triggering another flashback. Obviously, the Wado Ichimonji is very related to Kuina and that family, so he's reminded after Kuina's death, as well as the origin of Wado Ichimonji as well, all the times then. He then questioned why famous katana from Wano would be in this small village of the East Blue. It's very clear Zoro is thinking a lot through this fight, and trying to figure out who he really is, where he really came from, what's really going on. So, King continues to attack, firing a barrage of Imperial slings and arrows, while Zoro continues to struggle with Enma. Zoro then realizes that an old man who sat at the coast of his old village, who was also Kuina's grandfather, was the creator of Enma, blacksmith Shimotsuki Kozaburo? You know what? You know who I'm talking about, hopefully. Zoro then realizes that Enma chose him, and he's being tested by Enma. That's why it's so, like, annoying for him, and it's getting sucked out the Haki. It's really talking about how the sword chooses the wielder. It's a really interesting concept. Zoro then finds newfound confidence in his blade, and uses his newly revealed Conqueror's Haki to knock out nearby beast pirates that intended to attack him. He also, I'm pretty sure, gets Advanced Conqueror's Haki at this moment, but it's kind of hard to say. I'd have to look back in it. If there is, I'd show the picture of it. King proclaiming that Zoro intends to be king as well. Zoro replies saying yes due to the promise he plans on keeping of being the greatest swordsman in the world to Luffy, his captain and best friend. So I might be wrong, but I don't believe Zoro's ever referred to Luffy as his best friend, and the impact it has hits intensely. It really goes to show the type of person and Vice Captain Zoro really is. It's just like, it's a really nice scene, just like to call him your best friend. Like, I don't think he's ever done that. So I really appreciate that. Zoro then, realizing that when King's flames go out, his defensive ability drops in response, attacks King, who then responds by taking his mask off. So some surrounding Beast Pirates, after seeing King take his mask off, say the rumors were true in relation to King's appearance. The black wings, the white hair, the brown skin, explaining he can be tipped off to the government for 100 million berries. He's of a race that we don't know exactly yet. King immediately murders him, burns him alive. He's like, fuck no, dude. Immediately kills him. Then Zoro questions, what is King anyway? King replies, nothing that's going to matter to a man about to die. Pretty hard line, I can't lie. Pretty hard line. The two then clash and fight primarily in the air, which is exceedingly difficult for a character like Zoro, because King can fly, Zoro cannot. As well as Zoro realizing he's on a timer as Enma is still quickly sucking life from him. The two then understand the threat of each other, and King proclaims that Kaido is the man who will be king of the pirates. If you understand this fight, it really has to do with vice captains and like the respect they have for their captains. King, we now get a flashback to when King was a child, as he was being tested by the world government. He meets a young Kaido describing him as a Lunarian, so we learn the race of King, he's a Lunarian. Kaido then asked him to start a new crew with him, referring to him as a guinea pig. King asks if Kaido can really change the world they live in, and Kaido replies in a very Kaido fashion that he's the only one who can change it. We then learn that King's name is actually Albert, and he's only referred to as King because Kaido named him that. Really, I don't know why. That little fact feels really cute to me. That like Kaido named him his own name, like a whole new life, and it's named King. Like, fuck. So fucking sick. There's something about that feels really, really nice. Now going back to the fight, Zoro lands a Purgatory Onigiri on King, while King replies with an Imperial Flaming Wings barrage, both then clashing, with King looking incredibly badass with a flaming sword. Can't wait for that to be animated. King attempts to take away Zoro's sword, however Zoro stops him in time. King then rushes to kick Zoro, but Zoro counterattacks with a bird dance, slashing King right across the chest. King then proclaims that Zoro is biologically incapable of defeating him. It's very much, you can tell, a superiority King has, being a Lunarian race. He thinks he's better than the humans. Zoro responds that there's nothing he hates more than excuses like that. After slight banter, King releases his ultimate attack, extra large Imperial Flaming Wings. It is a giant flaming dragon emanating from King. It is super badass. I really like the design. Cannot wait for it to be animated. However, Zoro unleashes his final attack as well. It is... okay. Back at King, it's called King of Hell, 3-Sword Serpent, 103 Mercies, Dragon Damnation. And this is the final attack that defeats the powerful Calamity. In the last moments of the fight, we see a flashback of Kaido laughing, presumably from King proclaiming that he is Joy Boy. King states that legends are legends, and that is all. And that he seeks nothing from Kaido anymore. Just what this life belongs to him, and will eventually make Kaido king of the pirates. We then see Zoro's flashback of when he lost to Mihawk, proclaiming to Luffy that he as well will never lose a fight again. It's very interesting. Both King and Zoro will talk about how they will never lose a fight again to their captains. They will always be by their sides. They are loyal, they're dependable. You can really see the comparisons to the vice captains. It's really, really interesting. We then see Zoro give one of the hardest lines in the entire series, as he accepts he has to become the devil who he is. Yes, I might as well become the king of hell. Fuck, that goes so hard. Before using his swords to push him back onto Onigashima. He has a super cool pose, by the way, as well. Like, I'll show it on screen. It's really, really sick. Love this scene. We then see King falling down from Onigashima and are given the title card that the winner is Zoro. After the fight, we see the medicine Zoro was given at the start of the fight finally wear off as he is confronted by the literal Grim Reaper, figuratively signifying that he is as near death as one can be, but spoiler alert, he survives, showing the absolute resilience his character truly has. I mean, the fact that he sees the Grim Reaper now, like, does that mean he was more injured than he was at Thriller Bark, where he took Luffy's damage? Because if so, Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be surprised if they're against a Yonko, but still, like, damn. Damn! That is insane. Zoro is crazy. I think that's the most near death any character's ever been besides actually dying. So yeah, I think that's maybe Whitebeard before he died. But yeah, I think that's really insane. So, that's it. That's the fight. I think this fight was meant to cement Zoro as generally having what it takes to become the strongest swordsman in the world, as well as the first mate to the future Pirate King. Both his rival and his best friend trusted in his strength, and he himself became capable of honing the immensely powerful Enma, becoming the demon that is necessary to be the Pirate King's vice captain. Additionally, his intent to become king against the king, seemingly furthers this point. Zoro overcoming King, who is a shining example of what it means to be a first mate, shows he has also reached that upper echelon himself. As King, he really shows his loyalty to Kaido on multiple occasions, I'll never lose. I won't lose for you. Love that. But Zoro overcomes the King. That being said, there isn't much to say besides that. Zoro vs. King is easily one of One Piece's best fights, as well as Zoro's best showing, and I can't wait for this fight to be animated in the future. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and with that, later.